Colleagues, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks really for joining this meeting this afternoon of the Technical Working Group for Mental Health and Social Support. My name is Katerina Krishik. I'm working for WHO and I'm co-chair supporting the activities of this group and uh, putting focus on mapping exercise and its improvement. So, and I would like really to introduce to you. So we have simultaneous translation ongoing. So if you need simultaneous, please push the button, click the button, and hopefully this session this afternoon so we'll shed more light about this mapping already available and perhaps will allow us really to better facilitate the feedback and some other aspects of this instrument. And let me just show the presentation on the screen now. So you must be able really to see the presentation here. So, and this agenda is pretty simple as that. Now, the introductory word, and then why do we need really a referral map, contents of the map, and then we'll be using examples, what it takes really to apply the map, and then we will have other questions about this topic. Hopefully, it will come in handy to you too. And my kind reminder to you is that so we have as long as 1 hour and sessions really to be in Ukrainian language, and our plan is really to hold such sessions on a monthly basis, both in English and in Ukrainian. Basically, why do we need this map? So it is a referral map, first of all, and you might want really to use it really for so for the other arrangements really available in the regions of Ukraine on the ground on the spot. So whenever our clients or consumers of the service who refer for this care, who seek this care, should be referred really to the counterparts, towards the counterparts of this social support and mental health. And yet another example is coordination, as this is all in answer to the question, why do we need the map? And it's really more in relation with the co-chairs of the regional and other working groups that you have. So for us to be able to identify the gaps, it is yet another example how to make use of the map. So it's really to be conscientious of the problems and challenges and gaps. And so we'll be able really to see what it takes us really to identify it better in the map. And yet another really type of map is really project planning. Once again, we'll be able to see the gaps and all those things already delivered, already planned by other groups. So it's really to plan our own activities and input. And yet another important component, so partner visibility, because all of the agencies really define on the map. It's easy really to find them, and it's easy really to identify their contact details and find out what they've been doing, and so in some other region, and it is really a benefit and advantage. And this map is called really to give us a very comprehensive overview of all the really services delivered in this domain by the group counterparts, really contents of the map. So very often we get a lot of questions here as well. So the data on this map really collected through health and protection clusters. So likewise from the technical working group partners, and let alone in July and June, we had from them with the letters with a request to fill out the map and the manual, user manual. And this So please let us know if you have additional knowledge. So, and we will write up in the chat. Um, so this map is updated and revised once every 3 months, and it is fully updated. So it is really filled from the scratch when you have a brand new humanitarian cycle. So when you have the majority of the projects really restarting or really changing their location and contents. So the map is available both in English and Ukrainian, and it provides a very detailed and specialized overview. We keep it calling specialized, pretty much in depth understanding of what type of mental health services available in Ukraine, and also social security, social support. And I would like really to ask Maria, so as really to write again the link, so for us not to be wasting time, so as not really to be holding up anyone else. Thank you. And this form template really allows a more specialized really opinion on what type of services of the kind are being uh, so suggested in Ukraine. So we have four W's. So the contents of the map. So who, what, where, when. So in this slide, you have an overview. So what's really variations and contents really embedded in each section. So in the who section, you have really the names of the agencies, stakeholders, so international NGOs participating here, international NGOs and UN agencies and the other ones. And some of them are really pretty much the state partners and so on. And later on this section, so include some knowledge really from the cluster partners and from the partners of the technical working groups. So that means the ones really who are within the humanitarian response and the ones really who are outside. And also this section may be filtered out by means of other multiple sections, MHPSS, to find out if this agency is active in healthcare sector or whether it is really in protection, in education domain, and so on. And you might want really to filter it out by means of the relevant sectors. So in this section. So in the section what, you will be able really to see various services delivered by the stakeholders. It is really on the 4W tool by IASC, and really details on multiple services, intervention, pyramid. And in this section, you might want really to take a closer look into various cohorts. So for instance, the services really so engaged into response. So for the physicians, for the nurses, for the educators, for the teachers and volunteers alike, and you might want really to check out the services really for the vulnerable population. So might be for the war veterans, the IDPs, for the LGBTQIA plus community. So agent sex is another valid filter to filter it out. For instance, you're looking at getting the services for the children or for the women and the men. So you can really filter it out and find out more. And actually psychotherapeutic and actually modality of service delivery. So was the services available in an online setting, offline setting, via a telephone, and in which format? So for later on in the section D, you might want really to see so where those services are located. So you might want really to see the services delivered nationwide in Ukraine, hotlines or chats. So any spot in Ukraine, outside Ukraine, might want really to reach out and get hold of this service, or services delivered in various ports and some regions of Ukraine. And for the second type of services, you might want really to filter out the information by the region, by the county, or by the region, so 114, and by community, Hromada. So 1,042 communities where service delivery, so 1,500 communities in Ukraine. So majority of communities really covered by partners. Last but not least, in the section when, you might want really to find out the date of the inception and the finish date, so of such and such project and activity. For instance, the project really was functional until the year's end. So that means in January, so refer the people really into that NGO shall not be relevant any longer. So we need really to keep hold of the relevant knowledge. So it's really to get rid of the obsolete data. So, and when really the activity is expiring, you will be able really to find it out, and also changes in the working hours of any organization. So what is really in the best suitable timing to keep in touch with them, and for referral facilitation. And I just would like really to talk through another example of using the map, how each of the examples shall be working it out on the map. So it's really to have a pinpointed application in your activity. Let me share a description why this map is used. First of all, we'll be able really to find out more knowledge about the project counterpart. So who is doing that, who's implementation partner, for how long, where they are located, so and for how long, for how many months service will be out there delivered. And then we'll be able really to find contact details of a contact person. Please unmute. Please mute your microphone unless you're talking.
The last one. Sorry,
Technical support, please mute the microphone, because we have this conversation overriding the speech. Yeah, thank you. So microphone is muted, isn't it? Yeah. So we can carry on. So we'll be able really to find the contact details of the counterpart agency. And so in the section what, we'll be able really to determine its geographical coverage. Okay, finally you managed really to switch off the microphone, and now we have good sound input, and basically, yes, we'll be able really to. Someone is really switching on their microphone and overwriting with their conversations. We'll be able really to determine a geographical coverage for a certain service. So in which location spots find out really psychotherapy service, the counseling service is being delivered, and whenever you have really so we'll be able really to find it out in this cohort. What, if you want really to filter it out by what, then we'll be able really to determine service coverage for a certain group of service users. So for instance, to find out if services are available or are accessible for the people, for the public really, who are prison inmates, who are imprisoned in such and such region or nationwide in Ukraine. So we'll be able really to filter it out, and it will facilitate your project planning. And then you will be able really to determine so service coverage with a certain modality. So individual service delivery, in nationwide in Ukraine, or whether it is accessible in such and such community, region, and so on. So in that section, who will be able really to find out who is operational in this given community or region or county, and you will be able really to make a combination of these filters. So simultaneously, you will be able really to choose such and such service being delivered in such and such community for such and such cohort of people, and you will be able really to put it together into one filter and have the information overview. So in the section one, we'll be able really to see those projects planned in the pipeline really for such and such year, for such and such month. And if you're making use of the map, really will be able really to see if relevant data are accessible in relation to such and such community. So, and this is where I would like really to find out if any questions here, or will be able really to concentrate really on the demonstration of the map. If you would like really to ask some questions about the session itself, please let me know, and you might want really to make a break so as really to sort your questions well. Basically, no such questions. So let us proceed. So the map itself, once again, it is available on the page of the technical working group. So let me share you the link in the chat for your ease and convenience. And this is really where the map is secured in the title page of the TWG. So you click on the map and you see it there. Yeah, and you see the map. And down under you have really a link for feedback. So where you will be able really to access, so as really to provide confidential data, really upload about the map. So for instance, if you find out such and such filter is not functional or some incorrect display of the data, you will be able really to let us know in the form and we will follow up. So this is really a fast track function. So to get in touch with us really quicker. And so you will be able really to share more data in this form template. So the map itself and available both in English and Ukrainian. So feel free to choose your language of interest. And I can see here, yes, so it's really to have it more convenient. So let us really click on the English language and then the Ukrainian. However, the maps itself are identical. For your ease and convenience, let me just really open up the template. So for a full screen mode, and the template or the form of the map, sorry, and we'll be able really to see its inherent components. So that was you will be able to see. So the map itself and really the general overview of what's going on in Ukraine, and it will just describe all the parts showing presence, availability of the counterparts, NGOs, organizations who fill out the form. So multiple agencies in easternmost Ukraine, in northernmost Ukraine, in central Ukraine, in western Ukrainian, slightly fewer really in the south Ukraine. And as you can see here, so under the section who and what and when and where. And accordingly, you may feel free to use filtering for each of the cohorts in questions, especially if you are talking about that you need really to see which agency is functional. So in such and such place. So for instance, you're looking at finding out where you have this so please write it up in the email, so to the TWG, and we will just check it up. So after receipt of the form, Maria, please share an email of the TWG for us really to keep in touch. So for us really to see where such and such agency is operational. ARK queue. So you just click on it from the drop-down list, and you have really the spots being uploaded. So Kharkiv region, Odessa region, Lviv region, Transcarpathian region, and you will be able to see so their footprint in 28 so counties, so 284 county communities covered, and you can filter out the services delivered by these groups. And before we do the access to the multiplied filters, and I suggest really to find out which of each sector is doing. So in the section or in the sector what, you can really so choose activity or service or sub-service. So for example, you would like really to see where safe spots are proposed, offered. You can really click on the tick and you have a change in the screen. Then really is a general service or all general services available. And now you will be able just to see the safe spots here. So there are some gaps in some regions here. And so for the 25 agencies who are out delivering the service and the agencies enlisted in a list. So when one of the filters is chosen, all the others shall follow suit and shall change. So these filters really get amassed and they get times each, so multiplication. And actually the age of the and actually, you can see adults, teenagers, and children. So, for instance, pediatric services, you push, you click on the children, and the map slightly changed. So, for instance, for the elderly population, you would like to find out once again, the map keeps changing. Or, for instance, you would like really to see the services so delivered by for vulnerable groups. So, for example, for the people living with HIV, you might want really to click here as well, and you will see not many of these services here, but still they are in good access. So let me just see the chat first. So thank you for this link and reference. So when you are talking about when, so activity inception date for you to choose, and depending on that, you will be able really to assess the situation. You might want really to filter out the inception date, activity inception date, and activity finish date, and you will be able really to see accessible services. In the section D, you will be able really to pick some county or region or county. Dnipropetrovsk region is our choice now, and to see what's going on there on the ground. So you have multiple groups really working in the city of Dnipro, and when you really narrow down those circles, find out really how many groups working there and its list, and you might want really Kamyansk community, 7 groups active in the field, and Kryvyi Rih, 6 groups active, and you will be able really to identify presence of those groups so in more remote counties in the map. As you might want really to filter out such and such county. So we're just interested in the Krivorisky county. And accordingly, so the map is readjusted, and the list of services and the list of the NGOs and those groups really into the Kriviri County, and the NGOs and the communities covered by those services. So this is how you're getting hold of this knowledge. If you want really to find out more, you will be able to see services exclusively in Kryvyi Rih, which you will be able to do, and accordingly you will have an overview in the field. So the ones really present and the services. After we will have picked such and such filters, if you want really to bring it back, so you can really click reset button in the upper right hand corner, and you will be able to go back to your default map. So as you've just been able really to see it in the very beginning. So it was a video recording of this meeting, so please bear in mind we'll be able to share it with you, and of course we'll do monitoring of those sessions for you ready to get back to it. be able to ask more questions on the topic.
Пропоную подивитися також
What
на
I suggest doing
візуальну
now, can we see
ситуацію.
really so the services
Це те, що теж
displayed
важливо
by
підвищити то.
sector?
Ми можемо подивитися, наприклад,
Two,
послуги
you
в
will be
охороні,
able to
секторі
see
освіти. Так?
services
Це
in the
послуги в
education
освіті.
center.
І бачимо,
So let
що
us choose this filter
медична
again and
або
see how the
психічна
situation is
технологія
used
теж
or
можуть
healthcare sector
об'єднуватися.
services. So you
Тобто
have
розуміємо,
really
що це
changing
залежить від
situation.
організації,
Those are the sectors
яка йде
that
повністю під
the
контроль.
NGO belongs to,
Власне,
that is
зараз
responsible for
пропоную
mapping
подивитися, які
content.
ще приклади
Now, let
використання
us see what other examples of using of this tool might be of interest to us too.
Давайте подивимося,
Let us see now,
наприклад, які організації пропонують послуги
so
для
which
дітей
agencies
у
would like
Львівській
to
області.
offer really services
Для
for the
цього ми
children in
спочатку
the
подивимося
Lviv region.
у
Let us go
секцію
really
Д
to the Lviv
і
region.
пошукаємо
So our
послуги
section
Львівської області.
D, and let us pick Lviv
І
region in the
подивимося
drop-down
послуги
list.
Львівської області.
So
Ми
Kyiv
можемо
region, and we can
подивитися
see
всі
really
послуги, які
the
пропонують Львівська
Lviv
область.
region, all of the services,
Далі
so offered in the
подивимося
Lviv
інформацію
region.
про
And then you have
військові
really a reminder once again in the upper right-hand corner of
і
the map
натискаємо
for you, and you
Ctrl+,
would
коли
like really
військова
to
оперативна
press
система.
Control or
Зараз є
Command.
декілька
So
способів
depending whether it is PC or Mac,
Відповідно,
so it's
ми
really to
натискаємо
choose
команду
some
і
filters,
серед
and you
блоку
click this
користувачів
button, and amongst really the age of the service users,
відповідно, у
you
нас
pick
змінюється мапа,
children.
так?
And accordingly, you have really a modified
Ми
map,
бачите, що
and you have
частина
really the number of the
закриває
NGOs. So
організації.
unless you
Коли ми
chosen
вибираємо дітей,
the
вибираємо їх.
groups really, so there
Відповідно,
were
ми бачимо
10, and
майже
now you ended up having
змінюється
7 after
коло,
you will have
так?
chosen, after you have chosen the children.
Кількісна громада.
So you have really a different split
Тобто,
out,
і ми хочемо подивитися, наприклад,
and you would like really to see really the list of
ми
those,
бачимо, що це
and now really who
АРКЮ, що це благодійні
ARQ,
фонди, міжнародні організації,
Ricardo Charity Foundation, and
Харків
then
Child
this
Protection
core
Group,
and
Миколаїв
Kharkiv Human Rights
і
Protection
Соціальна
Group,
безпека України.
and
Відповідно, ми
so
можемо
Children's Town of Ukraine.
орієнтуватися на цьому.
And accordingly, so
Далі
it can give you
можемо
some
порівняти
bearings.
методологію
So let us
роботи.
find out that you have yet
Категорія
another cohort. So
послуги,
for instance, you would like really
послуги,
to
які
see
надаються
the
Львівській
services
області
really
або
delivered to the children in the
використовуються,
Lviv
наприклад,
region
дітьми,
over
які
the
не мають змоги
telephone.
прийти
So for instance,
до
because they
Львова,
can't really
так і тут
come
можемо
round and approach such and such
до
NGO,
Одеси.
you have really
І
the
замість
intervention tools,
контактів
and
обираємо
instead
послуги
of all
телефону, так,
means, so you
виділяючи
pick really telephone
телефон.
service once again by
Відповідно, ми
pressing
знову
down
дивимося
Control or Command
цей перелік,
button,
тобто ми
and then you have a
подивимося не всі
changed the
організації,
list
які ми
again, because
зафільтрували,
you can see
але
not
є
all of
кілька.
the filtered NGOs are out there really
Відповідно,
to
ми
offer
можемо
such type of
побачити цю
service.
мапу, так,
And
ми можемо
accordingly,
орієнтуватися
you
на
might have seen the
географію, розуміти,
situation,
що
and you
тут
might want really
можливо
to
якісь
assess it for this
перешкоди.
project to see those
Наприклад,
gaps of, for instance, for the other
тобто
referrals.
подивилися все
So let
це,
us assume
ця
that
інформація
you've
далі
seen
вже
it, and
не потрібна, тобто ми
later on
можемо
you don't need this information because you
за
are
запитом
really
до
happy
облікової карти знайти, до прикладу,
with
послуги
this
педіатрії. Так, ми зараз це
inquiry. For
перевіримо.
instance, pediatric
І
psychologist-based
знову
service is
скинути
your interest. Let us really reset the filters and once again go
спочатку на
back to the
початку.
default map at the
Так,
very
далі
beginning as it
знаходимо
was.
ще один
And
режим,
then
ще один
you
режим
have really, yes, another example here where you would like really to
допомога
find.
для
So, for instance, psychologist.
дітей. Так?
So,
І ми дивимося
so
цю
pediatric
категорію
psychologist.
«Що?».
So you need really
Розуміємо, що
to
там
filter out
не
the
якась
cohort,
організація,
the
благодійна
section what,
організація,
not
так,
really a
має якісь
specific
специфічні вимоги.
NGO or
І ми
location spot,
можемо
but a
вибрати,
certain
так, у нас є партicipaція
service.
в громаді,
And then you have really the
активізація громади,
dissemination of the
партicipating
information.
групи,
You have really enhancement
громадські
of the
слухання.
support
У нас
of
є
the
інфраструктура,
community or
освіта,
family, and you have really safe space
освіті.
and psychological
Розширення
education support. And then you have
спецгрупи у інші сектори. Орієнтовуємося на соціальну
MHPSS inclusion in the other sectors.
інтервенції.
Then person
Для
followed
спеціалізованих
focused
рівнів
PSS,
ведення
and
психічних
then
хвороб та спеціалізованих
non-specialized
клінічних
management of mental disorders and specialized
спілкування активістів
management
з
of
освітою.
disorders and
Наприклад, ми
general
хочемо знайти
MHPSS.
психологічні
So, for instance,
інтервенції.
you're looking at
Так?
getting
Ми
some
обираємо психологічні
psychological
інтервенції
interventions.
виробництва,
So
так?
let
Ми
us pick it from
висвітлюємо
the list.
наше
When
мапу.
you do so, you have
І
a
ми
modified
можемо
map
бачити,
here
що в нас
again, and you will be able really to see, so 54 groups that offer such interventions. And you have really the list of the activities or half activities, and you might want really to choose. So for instance, individual counseling or short-term counseling, or really counseling for groups of families, and what services really of consumption of psychoactives or alcohol, psychotherapy, so debriefing individual or group based, and all other services, and stress management so interventions. So for instance, individual basic counseling for children. Let us choose this category. Once again, pressing down, by pressing down Command and Control, you end up having two filters: psychological intervention and individual basic counseling. Let us just make sure that this really service is applicable for the children and actually for the service users. Really, those are the children. Once again, you have a change in the map, and you will be able really to see which organizations out there really offering this service. Let us, for instance, think it over, that it is crucial really to have this, so as really to have this counsel in the pediatric therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy is another add-on choice of yours. And you have a change in the map. You have 12 groups really offering this type of service here. So that means individual basic counseling for children, really for this uh, teenage cognitive therapy. And you will see the list of these groups described here. So for instance, you would like really to give referral of the client in question, and you would like really to find the contact details of this group. So what does it take to do so? So very important aspects here, just because you have slightly changed so the approach of the structure by means of which you manage really to approach this issue, so as really to make it more convenient access to these contact details. And now we have this opportunity for you really to see all those services. So for instance, you would like to see an NGO, words help. So you might want to choose it. So in among this green list. So it is pretty challenging, so we do understand, but once again, PDF-based user manual, so it's really to improve what we are doing, but this is as far what we have. You might want really to choose this NGO in this list, in the green list, and after you will have chosen it, so you might want really to access really to the button more information. When I click on it, so it transfers me into this NGO, so I can access their web page in our map. And this is where we will be able really to see the title of the group, NGO, and their connect details there again. And you will be able really to see the connect details and the working hours, where to refer, and its description. So, and in this one, you have it void and blank. If you want really to find some training, and in the description, so you will find out more details. So which training is being offered and so on. It is actually one of the examples, and what this NGO has been doing. So what type of services really providing delivery of services. So for each vulnerability cohort, so disabled personality or type of therapy, and actually to see both the communities and the counties. So with the services footprint, Dnipropetrovska and Kiev region and the city of Kiev, and you will be able really to see so who is out there delivering the service, and so you will be able really to see the connect details. So, and you would like really to get back to the map, and then you click on the button B, go back, and then you will be able really, it will bring you back to the place, to the initial spot, and you will be able really to see the situation. So for instance, let us once again, so bring it down to the default filter, and to see description of the services offered by Caritas to us in such and such region. Let us really choose Caritas, not a very good example because they are available for the whole of the nationwide in Ukraine. But let us again really filter out yet a different one. So, for instance, Smile, Postmishka, so Ricada Charity Foundation. As you can see, so it is a big geographical footprint, and let us see the services offered in the Lviv region or in the Rivne region. Let us choose by means of pressing Command or Control button, Rivne region, and you will see a geographical split out the footprints of this NGO. So you will see the list of services on this right-hand side offered by this NGO, and feel free to choose really vulnerability factors. So for instance, disability individuals getting hold of the service, and really for which trades and professions, and for the representatives age and sex, and actually, so you can see individually or via the telephone, they will be able really to get hold of the service. And so, for instance, you would like really to find out in more detail what it takes really to refer individual to that NGO. In the green list, charitable foundation, Ricarda is choice. So with the details really to follow up about their description, social protection and protection of children. And as you can see, really coordinated for protection related agenda and focal point. So interaction with a psychologist and all of the other people really that you might want really to get in touch with. Working hours, you can see well described and the details really about the operations of this group. So go back here again and really go back to the default filter. And in addition, my message to you, so this map is accessible both in English and in Ukrainian. So in the Ukrainian version, you will be able really to see it all again, the same structure pretty much. And actually so the title of the NGO, if the NGO provided really a Ukrainian speaking a Ukrainian language speaking version. And you can do pretty much the same identical things in yet another important aspect and of the functionality of the maps. So we have yet a uh, so this table chart really. So nearby reset button, you can find this button here again. So it looks pretty difficult, but it might well be used because some people really find it more convenient really to use really multiple charts than the map in the visual representation itself. Who, what, where, and when. So for instance, you are looking at seeing, so let us see really services of such and such NGO. For example, equilibrium, and all of the filters get changed here again. You can see really the communities really, so whose services are delivered, so what type of services delivered, so and when delivered, and where exactly. And it is pretty complicated, but once again, so if it is of interest for you, so please try really to play around with it and see how functional, how well functional it is and convenient. And once again, let's go back really to the main map here again, and this is where this will be it. I tried really to show to you really some methods of using this map, but if you would like really to share some comments or ask some questions, it is pretty in the nick of time, so please go ahead with it. So I can't see any, I can't hear any comments so far. And as I understand, the question would be more, so what it is really about uploading your NGO data on the map. 74 groups we have NGOs. So by means of filling out the templates that my colleagues have shared in the chat, and accordingly, very soon we'll be able really to upload, to add up all of those missing NGOs. So once again, so for the comments and remarks, if no more questions really to follow up with, so we might really want to finish this session. Well, Natalia, please.
Так, доброго дня, дякую за
Good afternoon.
привід.
Yes, thank you for this
Є таке
training.
питання. Тобто
My
є десь опис
question,
чи якась
so do you
інструкція, що
keep a
підбирати
description
послуг
or
і
use a manual
переліку
about the
перелік
services so
послуг є
contained in the list? So the list of services,
якісь
so
інструкції,
what we
хто
are
саме
doing, some really use a
користується
manual, what
однією
exactly
або іншою
in
категорією.
relation to this, or to yet another category. Yes, indeed. So we are halfway through drafting and updating this guide. What it takes really to make use of the map, because in the map, in the section who, so we have really shorter captions, and now we are doing this clarification, so written out as a document for you really to make good use in your work. So sometimes it is worthwhile really to go back here as well. So that is why a quick answer is that we'll be able really to publish this
Добре,
list
тоді в мене
to
наступне
facilitate
питання.
your
Коли
application. My next question to ask,
проводиться в нас
if he
реєстрація,
really
як
shares the
змінити, наприклад,
really information about this
змінити
organization. So
або
if
взагалі
you
діяльність
have some
підприємства,
changes, or let
або
alone so you have
змінити
changes in our activity, or we
необхідно
realize that we
у нас з цією інструкцією треба
you are not in agreement with this guide or user
що робиться
manual,
по
and we need
телефону,
really to
якщо
change
ні,
something. Shall we
чи
really use the same reference
надіслати
link to change, or
відкласти на пошту, як
should we
відбувається
really share an email with you what it
Так,
takes really to about the changes on the
я
map? Yes, thank you for the question. We will really add it up to the frequently asked questions because it is important, and we take really as the most brand new so templates of the NGO that you receive. You might want really to fill it out again. Feel free to fill it out today or in a month's time, and we will grab really the most updated form, and we will make good use of it as we move along. So, but if you're talking about the changes, please write up to us about it, and we will follow up with the changes and really in this bilateral.
Мгм, добре. І ще тоді одне технічне питання. Я
How about
правильно
this technical
зрозуміла,
question?
що
If I got it
обирати
right, so when you are about really to choose a filter, so that means the whole of the map and all the other filters shall be changed. So in accordance with the filter contents. Yes, exactly. It will happen like that. So this NGO doesn't have such and such service, so the list will be void of it. So some and such cohort of the public that this organization doesn't relate with, so it won't be in the list. It won't exactly. And the question on the chat, whether it is possible really to share it. So in the distribution list, yes, of course, all the ones in the distribution list will get both the recording and the presentation and the guide and the user manual for your ease and convenience. Yes, Oksana, please.
Всім доброго дня. Як я
Good
зрозуміла,
afternoon to you all.
кожною
So my
мовою,
understanding,
наприклад, українською,
so for
якщо
instance, to
перекладається,
pull
тобто
it out in Ukrainian, and
мовою
you will have it translated yourself. So we don't have really to fill it out in both languages. So whichever language is your most convenient, please fill it out with. And I also can see Katerina, please. So share an email with us first, and we'll some technical difficulties. Maria, please send it in the chat. Once again, the email address of the group. Well, any more questions or remarks, comments to make or share or ask, please? No, none. So in that case, thank you very much for your attention. Thanks very much for joining in. So we'll share the recording and we'll have a separate meeting again. So once again, English. So with the simultaneous translation, so it's really to have the functionality of the map So for our English-speaking colleagues, so we appreciate your feedback, looking forward to it, and then so we have really knowledge in the form, because this mapping really to a large extent really based on this cooperation. So you are the ones really providing relevant knowledge to us, and we put it in this overview. So thank you very much indeed, and actually wishing you really nice and good day, safe day to you all. Thank you, Katerina.
Дякую.
Thank you.
До побачення.
Дякуємо.